So basically this week is week 11, so 2 more weeks before your assignment submission. So for today's lecture, it's already up. Okay. Last week we covered debugging and also error handling. And today we will look at configuration, okay, and a little bit on optimization. Okay, but before that, if you all remember, we do have questions, okay, where in some of the questions I made it as our class activity questions, which you'll need to answer individually. Okay, and then these are the exception handling methods, page level, application level. Okay, for page level, we have try catch and also using page error. This is an example of a page error. And then question 2 also in the class activity. Okay. Last week I did 2 questions, which are the question 3 and also question number 4. So when I look at this particular 2 questions, it's suitable as a open book question, okay, for your online assessment lah. Okay, so I think rather than simply asking you all theory question like this, where at least to make it open book question, you'll need to use your own words, correct? Another more common way would be to ask something like this, okay? Yep, I like this question. So I don't have a marking scheme for this, but more or less roughly the ideas on the answers. And I would love to see how you work on answering this. Okay, so I will let you all do this in a group lah. Okay, let me prepare you all to be separated into 2 big groups. Okay, breakout. I set the breakout room first, yeah. 2 rooms. Okay, how long? Perhaps 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, let me see. In that case, One, two, three, four. Only 4 students in room 2. In that case, I need to add members. Two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay. So I will let you all go to your breakout rooms. So meaning if you are in, oh, Jeremiah is in. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll put you in one of the room. So we have 6 plus 6. Okay, 2 students are not here, Farah and so. Okay, so a breakout room 1 will do question number 3. Okay, and breakout room 2 will do question number 4. Okay, so let me show you the class activity. Oh no, breakout room questions. I'm no longer using live game layer. So if you all have any better way for me to do my teaching methods, you can always suggest to me. Now we are in week 11, 12, 13, 14. So around one more, less than 1 month lah. Okay, before I end my class. So this is the error handling. I think I need to open this so that everyone can access. Okay, so I already prepared the Google Docs. Okay, question 3 and question 4. You just need to type your answer here. Editing, share. Mm, editor. All students, including your deputy head. Perhaps she will join you all. Okay, click pause now. So I'll click pause and I open the rooms. I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. I will still be in the main call, yeah? See you. Okay, so welcome back. I hope you all have selected one person to represent the group, or perhaps a few students, okay, to explain, up to you. Okay, can you make a quick decision who will present the answer? Oh, Noel, okay, hang on, Noel. I want to record the meeting. Yes, I hear you. Okay, the recording has started. Why don't you explain your group's answer? Can you highlight that one? Two potential errors. Okay, two potential errors. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Before that, do you see the second part of question one? Name the type of the potential errors. Can you highlight that one also? Type of the potential errors. Yep. Perhaps you can use a different highlight color. Type of potential errors. Okay, in this case, when you present your answer, you need to be very clear. You need to tell the examiner, okay, everyone must take note on this, which one is which. Okay, so how would you all represent it, your answer? You need to rephrase. How would you let me know which one is which? Because I can see that you'll dump everything in one sentence. But in order for I'm the examiner, and then I do have my reviewer. So my reviewer will check whether I'm marking it properly or not. But then the reviewer will be based on he or she will be referring to the marking scheme. So how would you all redo your or rephrase your answer? Oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. Line what to line what? This error. And then the type of potential error is this. Yeah, that's much more clearer. Mm-mm. No problem. So kalau table form, then you have two columns. One is potential error, and then the second column is type of error lah. Kan? As long as your answer is very clear. Sometimes students expect, okay, of course, as examiner will know because you are teaching this particular course, but our reviewer might not be that familiar with our slides, our notes, tutorial, and also practical. So it's best for you to answer according to the given question. Okay, this is much more better. Good. I'll continue with the second one. Okay. Suggest which exception approach. The keyword there is exception approach, but you all are explaining about page error event. So how would you rephrase your answer? You need to talk about exception approach. You look at the next word, page error event. You're referring to the event handler. So you just need to rephrase which exception approach. So you need to start off with something. Perhaps you all can refer to our slide. How do we name the various approach? Okay, what do we call it? Error handling approach. Because I'm asking about which approach is better. Page level error handling approach is better suited. Okay, done. So you're done with the first one. Okay, next is justify your answer. Then you go to this next. So perhaps you can press enter, put the justification on the next line. Because I want you all now get ready for your assessment. Answer according to what is required. Number one, suggest. So the first line is your suggestion. Okay, and then the next one would be your justification why. But then if you refer to your notes, page level error handling approach, there are two. One is try catch, one is using the page error. One is using page error method and one is using try catch. Then, so how would you further refine your answer now? Because the first part you just mentioned page level error handling approach, but you ah um, yes, yes, you need to be very clear about this. Of course, you'll go for the page level error handling, tapi under page level error handling, we have to. So how would you all rephrase your answer then? Group members, any suggestion? Different, different method. Um, but then both can be used to handle page level error lah. Uh, uh. So you just need to rephrase your answer. First of all, you need to mention uh, to let the examiner know. I want to suggest page level error handling approach, which is this method. So what is that method? Page error method. Then you justify the page error method. I can see that Russell, you're typing something just now. Try catch. Do you think try catch is better? For question number 2, the student's answer may vary. I believe if I'm the examiner, as long as you don't give me application level lah. Yeah, both are under page level error handling. But you need to explain page level error handling. Which page level error handling is better suited? Okay, you're trying to talk about page error method, which is a page level handling, exception handling method is more suited. Okay, page error method, which is a page level. Can we go to page 21 then? So over here, we have to, let's say that we have two categories of exception handling. One is to handle page level error, and another one is to handle application level error. If you are referring to the second one, application level error handling approach is much more better, then you can talk about the application error method. Okay, but then for number 1, if you're talking about page level error handling is much more better, then you need to further, all right, continue to which one? Is it the try catch finally or page error method? According to the question that you have. If you say just page error method, that is like an example of the page level error handling. Yeah. It's either page level or application level. And then for the page level, since we have two methods, then you narrow down to one. Why I want you all to be able to identify this is that I myself, I will not know how the marking scheme will allocate answer. Some students, I know that they understand, they know what's the correct answer, but unfortunately, they understood the question and then they just give this answer. I'm not sure, Kelvin. This is our first time to offer in Sabah branch. But Kelvin, you perhaps can go and take a look at the final online assessment. Oi, RIP. I've been showing you the final online assessment question from time to time, right? Since the early of the semester. Why, you're not confident in me anymore? You forgot? Okay, let me see. Page level error handling approach is better suited. Um, is better suited. Oh, ada overlapping sudah the second and the third sentence. Yeah, second and third sentence ada overlapping already. Page level error handling approach is a page level error handling approach using page error method is better suited. Using page error method is better suited. That's it. And then cut the second sentence. Okay, cut the third sentence pun boleh cut. Yes. Okay. So the paragraph is talking about the justification already, kan? Then you can yes. Then the page error event, because you're talking about page error event, kan? So change back to event, page error to page error event. Yeah, initially is event. It's much more clearer, correct? Sorry. No, method. Because if you refer to page 21, we call it as page error method. And then the second one is to justify why using page error method is suitable. Because when we use page error method, we will add in our page error event handler, right, in our code. So that's why you're talking about page error event. Will be raised whenever an unhandled exception occurs within a page. Okay, so is it much more clearer? Okay, good. Continue. Okay. So this is from our example, right? Okay. It's very important for you to present your answer nicely. So since if you use Courier new font, it will be much more bigger in size. So you can reduce the size and then make it like or perhaps use another font lah, as long as everything can be displayed nicely. Okay. I think should be okay already. There's an indentation and so on. Okay, good. Thanks a lot. So let's proceed to the next group. Okay, proceed, Kelvin.
The first question of question 4 is the assume no validation is done on the form predict explain the runtime exception.
Kelvin, can you increase Zoom from 100 to 150?
Okay.
Okay, much more better.
Is it too okay?
There's a 100% there, right?
Uh,
Next to normal text, yeah.
is this okay?
Change it to, okay, better.
Okay. The I did the type if they tag the type character string instead of only numbers in the text box before clicking the calculate button, it will cause a runtime. It will cause a format exception since the character string cannot be converted into numeric format. Is this correct?
Okay, let me see. Pretty can explain one. Okay, highlight runtime exception. Runtime exception.
runtime exception.
Okay, so to answer this, you need to recognize what is a runtime exception, and one of the runtime exception is a format exception. Yes, correct. Okay, so you answered it correctly. Format exception. For a format exception, if our user enter non-numeric input, then you will see there's a system dot format exception. Input string was not in a correct format, which I've shown you last week during my demo. Okay, let me put that just to, if you want to be specific. Okay, I got this when I tried out one of the example in our slide showing using the VS Code, Visual Studio. And I'm sure if you forgot already, then you can refer to the recording. Okay, next question.
The next question, Ian can explain it.
Okay, so for this question, I'm tackling why do we use the try-catch block rather than the
highlight try-catch block.
Try-catch rather than the page error. So first I will tackle what is a try-catch block. So right here, I will say that the try block will test the code, meaning it will run through to test if there is any error. So if there is, then the catch block will catch it and maybe display messages or perform any the handling of the error. So what I suggest is that the try catch block is used because it can specify the possible errors that might occur. Meaning, like, let's say for Kelvin, can you scroll off a bit the image?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so for this one, because since we use a try catch block, we can say like let's say at the tutorial side, let's say the user enter a non-numeric, let's say like A, then it can catch the error and maybe declare a non-numerical exception. So this way we can directly specify like what type of exception we can expect, because the page error is handling any types of exceptions that are unhandled. So therefore, we use a try-catch block to directly identify what are the possible exceptions, and then we can display to user to let them know what are the errors. So that's basically the reason why we use the try-catch block rather than the page error.
Scroll down, please. Okay. Oh, I wonder why Google Docs doesn't recognize the typo. First sentence separate. Two separate sections. SAPARATE. Why Google Docs doesn't identify? If you're using Microsoft Word or Google Docs, always run your grammar and also spelling check. Yeah. Try catch block has two separate sections. Okay. What I like about yes.
If the exam we got spelling error also got deduct mark.
It is something like it will put the examiner off lah.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
you all are degree level.
Because autocorrect sometimes.
No, I mean it's already there. There's a wavy light, right? Telling you all, okay, that's a grammar mistake or typo mistake. Go and fix it. You're not supposed to show that to the examiner. But I wonder why separate is not identified. Never mind. Okay, but I want you all to use it. It's already there, kan? Okay, what I like about this answer is that, okay, one more. Can you highlight discuss? Okay, make it bold lah, bold and underline. Bold and underline, yes. the keyword there. One more thing is you need to know whether you're asked to briefly explain or state, list, discuss, differentiate. Here is discuss. So I like this approach where on the first point or the first paragraph, you talk about what is a try-catch block. This is like slowly showing that, okay, this is the characteristic of try-catch block. Okay, I will test the code inside that might trigger an error. If there's an error, the catch block will catch the error and display message accordingly to the type of error specified. But I would say this particular description can be further refined, because if you read carefully, our try block is like, this is where you identify the portion of code, mean from which line to which line. Then why you use the word test? Because we know that these lines of code, they are more prone to error. So you need to further refine your explanation. And then if there's an error, catch block will catch, and then it doesn't necessarily will display message. It depends on what do you put inside the catch lah. Okay, so it's not necessary every try catch will display appropriate message. So it depends on what you put into your catch. So try to refine this explanation. Okay, let's move on to the second point. Why would you choose? Because it specifies the possible error. It doesn't specify the possible error. Okay, if you refer, it's more or less like, hang on, let me refer to the notes. Try catch, oops. My mouse is giving me a problem. Okay, yeah, I found it already. Because identify, okay, the try block is actually identifying, is able to identify the portion of codes that are more likely prone to errors. Okay, it doesn't specify the possible errors. You yourself as a programmer will identify which lines of code that you want to add into the try catch. Okay, so perhaps later you can like change the second point. Try catch block specify the possible errors. No, it's not the syntax that specify that there's a possible errors. You yourself, you are the programmer, you will identify which lines of code are more prone to errors, and then you use that. Okay, so try to refine that answer. But basically, this is how you handle discuss question. Okay, so let Jonathan do that. How about while Jonathan is he's fixing that, let's go to the next question, please. Okay, so you have identified this, that these lines of code will is more prone to errors, yeah? So when you read line, okay, let's look at your catch. Okay, I scroll down. Okay, calculate need. Okay, this is why you all need to understand that the try catch block, okay, we use it because we already know, we have identified the portions of code which are more likely prone to errors. So if you feel that it's only during the data entry, then you only put the data entry part within your try block, correct? So if you think that there's another type of exception will occur for the calculation, then you do another try catch if needed. See if that answers your question. Okay, so let's go up to Jonathan's answer. Are you done? Or perhaps the other can help out also. Second question. Okay, try as two separate sections that I will run the code inside. Okay, the first one should be okay already. Yeah, if there's an error occur inside the try block, the catch block will catch the error and handle the exceptions accordingly. Okay, because the try catch block allows user errors to be identified that might occur when running a portion of kernel. Okay, I think at least this yeah correction made. Yep. At least you don't use the specify lah. For your final online assessment, it will be 3 hours. So you have more than enough time to rephrase your answer accordingly, okay, to the bachelor degree level. So hoping that your English will be improved lah. All right, so I think we are done. The time now is already almost 10:15. Okay, so I'll stop the recording and let's go for a break. How long? Oh, okay. My lecture today. I think I'll just give you 5 minutes lah because our class ends at 11, right? Yeah, 5 minutes break and we'll continue with the lecture. Okay, I'm back. Oh my goodness, my mouse is giving me a problem. Okay, let's see if you're still having your breakfast. Please continue. So I can see that some of you attended the talk on Saturday. So how do you find the talk about the skill sets required in the government as well as the private sector, ICT sector? Pero tidak sempat. How about the rest? Ish, my mouse. Okay. Can how it works in the real world. But I didn't know that Mistang is actually giving your communication skill points during the talk. So I feel very apologetic for asking lots of questions. I didn't know. If I know, then I will stay quiet. My bad. I was also curious like you all. Hang on now. But then for those diploma students, okay, you all have done your internship. Is there any like additional thing that you might want to add? I was asking the group 2 students because they have done their internship for their diploma. Okay, let me check. Okay, now I'm using another mouse. Okay lah, much more better. Let's see. Yeah, you just know, yeah. You also didn't know. Because I remember that time Mr. William Chu, he's our IEAP for our program, industry expert. So he did, I think there's an arrangement between like Miss Tang and him saying about attending talks is not just like joining the Meet or the Zoom meeting. Student must also show that they earn the not only the lifelong learning skill but also like communication skill begitu Bang. So and then that's why they're taking questions from students during the 15 minutes. So I didn't know anything about that. So I keep on asking questions. So I felt very bad. So if I ask less question or if I just kept quiet, then you all will have more questions to ask. I'm also very curious because like they're using Python. And then I want to know how about our programming? because my diploma student, they're learning R programming. They have this elective introduction to data science. They learn all these machine learning algorithms and so on using R programming. And then SAS, the SAS via is like we need to pay, but then fortunately for our students, we get the education access lah, right? And then as for the language, someone asked about the language, right? And then he suggested, Mr. Isma suggested PHP because it's what is being used currently by the government sector. Okay, because I believe government, they do have their budget. So they prefer open source, but Java is also open source, and PHP is object oriented. And I believe if you all are familiar with object oriented language, then it would be easy for you all to take up PHP. And as for the group 2 students, I'm sure you'll learn PHP before lah. Okay, so just to let you all know. And then I did I see this advertisement, Hong Leong Assurance. Yeah, I guess that's a banking institution, a financial institution. They are looking for ASP.NET software developers. So it doesn't really like everyone is using PHP open source, but there are some organization out there that is using the proprietary language or framework. Okay, now just now Kelvin, he was asking about the FOA. I remember, okay, let me record this. Okay, record this. Okay, this is what I downloaded from our TAUC online library. So I only have the question, I don't have the marking scheme, but then perhaps since we are quite early in our weekly coverage, now is week 11, correct? So, oh my goodness, am I that too fast? But I believe by covering earlier this topic, you all can like have a head start for your assignment ready. Practical ed you have done last week. We have done error handling last week. Today we'll cover configuration and optimization. So here, am I going too fast for you all? Oh, thank goodness. Just like that? Okay. So I'm planning, since now it's like we are in week 11, today we are going to do configuration and optimization. I think we have time to find the answers for the for the final online assessment. As what you'll know, this is the first time for Sabah branch to offer this. Okay, so let's find this FOA answers together, right? There's an evolution in the questions being asked to students. Initially, it's like more similar to face-to-face, okay, but the faculty realized that this is not a good way of handling online assessment. So make it to be more like open book. Okay, 3 hours open book, and then student must use their own words. Okay, and then you can see your design, your choice. So this is more open book. kind of question. And then there's what is this? Yep, the create a web page. So there's a coding there. So one nice thing about our assessment is that you can still use your Microsoft Visual Studio. Try to check that you have fulfilled everything, but it is easy for the examiner to see where the students are sharing one program with each other. Okay, it's very clear. I even caught the diploma student. They did this for their midterm test. How many? Let me count how many. Now there are 14 students, 15, 15 students. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 students. Oh my. So I had a very long talk with them. If this happen, this is not good for our final online assessment. Just to let you all know, it's very easy for examiner to see where the students are sharing the same program code. And if you are letting your friends get hold of your answer, that one is considered as contributing to cheating also. So I trust you all. You all are my year 2. Because it's an open book online assessment, right? Open book online assessment, you can open your slides, right? And then in order for you to create a web page, you cannot simply remember. It's difficult. I cannot do that. So of course, you need to use your Visual Studio. All right. Otherwise, then how would you create a web page? Unless you have a very good photographic memory, you remember every single line of code that you have typed. Do not screenshot. Okay, please do not screenshot. Only the output. Okay. Oh, let me see for this question. For this particular question, because it asks you to explain categories of events, and then based on that, you must at least in your screenshot, you show which event category and so on. So it requires something like you must add in arrows, or perhaps when you screenshot your code, add in comments. Okay, add in comments. This is to show proof for your question A. So over here it says just screenshot. Then how about the latest question? Up to you. You want to use snipping tool, you want to just use print screen and then paste. Okay, there's a shortcut key for the latest snipping tool. What was it already? Let me show you. Hang on. SNIP. Normally I just use a print screen and then paste it. Okay, but recently I also use snipping tool if I'm too lazy to use my paint to select and crop. So there's a snipping tool, but then there's something nice also. You can try out this shortcut key, the Windows logo, Shift and S. You just press these keys and then it will capture for you. You just need to go to your document and Control V. Okay, let's look at the next one. Design a web form. Here it doesn't really tell us whether students need to provide screenshot or copy paste the code, but for the output to show the form design, definitely you screenshot the form designer, and then as for the code, if you want to show the code, explain your choice of the server controls. So it depends on how you present your screenshot. Manually draw. No, don't manually draw. Kelvin, I will deduct your marks because I don't like your drawing. Of course, you must use your ability, your skill to in using Visual Studio. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Oh my goodness, look at that time. Okay, you can find our lecture, Finding Ways to Save Time. You have 3 hours, Kelvin. Okay, chapter 10. Now, let me present you my PowerPoint slide. Okay, I remove this. Right. Okay, chapter 10. It's quite a short chapter. Okay, about configuration. Configuration and optimization. We will take a look at the 2 types of configuration files. We have machine.config, we have web.config. And then in our chapter 9, we have covered the 4 types of errors, okay, parser errors, compilation errors, configuration errors, and also the one that you'll use in your answer just now, the logical errors. Okay, runtime logical errors. And then under configuration errors, this is, I took it from our chapter 9, configuration error. This is caused by problem either in web.config or the machine.config. Last week I mentioned that we haven't touched machine.config yet, so we're going to look at machine config today. Next, we'll see a very simple illustration, okay, to show how configuration files work. It's not an illustration, just a list of steps, right? And then I will look at some examples on customizing our config files. You have done database connection, correct? But for ours, the code, the codes are automatically generated, right? So we will have a look at this, especially on the connection string. And then in chapter 6, we covered session states. Last week, okay, chapter 9, error handling and also debugging. And then we will end with the general configuration. Okay, so configuration. Over here, if you take a look at your machine.config and web.config, notice that the type, it is stated as XML configuration file. Okay, so ASP.NET is using an XML-based configuration file, so it's much more powerful and flexible. We have these 2 config files, machine and also web config, where these files are used to configure any component of ASP.NET, but you need to know what you should need to add in. Some of it are automatically added for you after you have done some clicking, right? These are the 2 configuration files, machine and web config. And these are the main characteristic for both configuration files. Machine.config, it contains a machine-specific settings, means a configuration for our web application according to a particular machine. As for web.config, this is the configuration for a specific web application, right? And so we can in fact override the default functionality defined in the machine.config. So imagine you have one machine.config, and then in your machine, say we have been doing like 8 practicals. So including your assignment, you might have more than 8 projects or solutions. Okay, so we can have one web config at the root directory of our web application. And then in chapter 5, when we learn membership and role management, if we want to specify certain authorization for a child folder, then we can add our own web config as well, right? So we see that the web config, in fact, contains a subset of settings in the machine.config. Now, for Visual Studio 2019, okay, we can find this in your Microsoft.NET framework. And if you have older versions of this framework, go for the latest one. Okay, and there's a warning here: do not rename your machine.config because ASP.NET relies on this machine.config file. Okay, so yesterday I did a screenshot. I find mine in the C drive. You can also do it now. Go to your Explorer C drive. Mine is in the Windows, right? Microsoft.NET framework. I have this particular folder inside config. This is our machine.config file. And then notice that we also have web.config. I noticed that here, the one in this particular folder, it is all in lowercase. But if we create a new project, I noticed that the web config, the naming is capitalized. Okay, the first letter is capitalized WEB web.config. Okay, so how does this configuration files work? If you all still remember, in chapter 1, we have heard about CLR. Okay, Common Language Runtime, CLR. Now, for this CLR, let's do a short recap. Remember that .NET is using a 2-step process for compilation, where it will be compiled to CIL, okay, the Common Intermediate Language first. Then the next one is to the Common Language Runtime, CLR. So basically, CLR is responsible for executing your application code. That is what you need to know. The CLR is responsible for executing your application code. So I think, let me copy that for you. This is from chapter 1. Let me put that in the chat box. Okay. So how does this CLR locates our configuration files? It happens when our page is first initialized. The first thing that will be read would be the machine.config file. Then it will proceed to the individual web.config files stored in the application root directory. Okay, then it will proceed to, if any, the individual web.config files stored in the child directories. Yeah, that's how easy it is for us to see the CLR, how it locates our configuration files. And this will continue until all web.config files in our project tree have been processed. Now, what if the subdirectory does not contain the web config file means the child directory. Then it will inherit the setting from the parent file node. So if the parent is a root directory, then the web.config in the root directory. Next, what if you only have one page that needs special settings to function? The answer is, then we need to place this page in a subdirectory with its own web config file, so like a child directory, so that any changes, okay, will just affect that page. Here, if you recap from your chapter 5, we do that when we want to do our authorization setting. Okay, let me go and find our chapter 5. Okay, hang on, yeah, find authorization. In the slide first. Hang on, okay, I found it already. So we have three ways of setting our authorization. The first method, second method, and third method. Okay, the one that we're talking about just now is we can place our page, okay, in a child folder with its own web.config, right? Now let's get back to my slide just now. What are the rules for setting up our configuration files? First of all, we must have our root element, which is the configuration element. It's a two-sided tag, so open and close. All the elements must be enclosed between the tag, right? Must be closed, so because there are two-sided tags, so open tag, close tag, and they are case sensitive. And all attributes must be enclosed within a double quote. We should not overlap our elements, but we can nest our element. Now, the format for our configuration files in terms of how we divide it is that we have two main areas. Okay, in terms of structure, we have two main areas. The first one is the declaration, and the second one is the setting. So the declaration is we're using the config sections element, and the settings is where we assign values to the classes that we define in the config sections. So the settings is delimited by the section group. Okay, so this shows the structure of our machine config, the root element, open and close. Okay, so this is our config section. And then this is for web.config. We have the root element, and this is our config sections. We will further explore system.web, but before that, let me find my machine.config first. Hang on, yeah. Windows, Microsoft.net. Okay, framework, version 4, config, machine.config. So we also have web.config over here. Okay, it automatically opens my Visual Studio. So this is the config section, and notice that this is where we define all the individual classes, and we have the section group where the values are assigned to the individual classes. Okay, I don't want to touch anything on this. So we do see the membership providers and so on. Yep, the role manager, correct. We have seen this earlier on in our web config. How about the web config here? Okay, this is a web config. Not this one. Okay, so you can read on this. That one is explaining about whether you want to overwrite or not, which is mentioned in our slide. Okay, over here. Web.config can override the default functionality. So it means that it depends on what here, whether we allow it or not. Okay, so we have our system.web. Okay, scroll down. So many. Okay, this is for the one in our config folder. Okay, let me put this one aside. Continue with our slide. Okay, so we'll take a look at the system.web. Okay, settings of system.web. The most frequently used configurations are for database, session, error handling, debugging. So we have seen some of the configuration in these chapters. And then as for security, which is in chapter 5, authentication technique, we have like forms, windows, passport, all right. So far we use the forms authentication technique, and then the role manager, whether we want to set it on or off, and then anonymous identification settings. Okay, remember we can allow or deny anonymous users. And another most frequently used would be the email setting, but this is not in our syllabus. So let's do a recap on what we have seen for our database connection. We store the database connection string so that if we put our database connection string in the web.config, we can maintain our database configuration in a particular single location in our web.config. And then this is the example. We have a two-sided tags here, a connection strings element, and we have the add element. This is a one-sided tag. Northwind, remember our first database, northwind.mdf. Notice that all the configuration here, we can read it in a clear text format, human readable, but there's a problem. What's the problem? Because we use our connection strings to connect to databases with certain credential, like you want to connect your web application to this particular database at this server using a certain username and a password. So it means that this is quite confidential. So it's a security concern. So that's why our connection string should be encrypted. So how do we encrypt our connection string section? Then we can use this, what we call as the Asp Net Register Iis. This is an ASP.NET IIS registration tool. We use this tool to encrypt and decrypt your connection string. If you host your website in IIS, this is the syntax. But then for physical part where you store the web config, then you simply use this syntax. Okay, you can see the example here. .pef, okay, is encrypt. All right. Let me show you. The PE specify which section. So we only want to encrypt the connection string section. And then the app command shown here is to specify which application. This is if you specify You want to host this application in the IIS. But for the second one, it says that you want to encrypt the connection strings section for this particular web app. So once you type it, make sure you go to your framework folder, okay, where the exe file, okay, the Asp.Net Iis registration tool is located, the ASP.NET _ register iis.exe, right? Now, I found this screen, I screenshot this from this particular page by Sibesh Venu. This is how it looks like after the connection string has been encrypted. So look at this connection string, open, close. So you have this encrypted data, encrypted method. Oh, there it is using RSA encryption, RSA reverse. I think it's reverse Shamir Edelman algorithm. Okay, asymmetric cryptographic algorithm, a public key cryptography lah. Okay, I'm sure you'll have learned this under Miss Lee for your course on computer security. And this is to decrypt. So what's the difference? E means encrypt, and then P means decrypt. So you just change E to DPD, PDF. Now, what can we store in the web.config for error handling? Just now we have seen for database connection. For error handling, which we covered last week, here we can configure what to display when an error occurs. So we can provide a friendly message, and then we can also redirect our user to a particular custom error page. Example code, we can add in the HTTP errors. Okay, error mode custom. This is we have seen this in our chapter 9. Error mode attribute determines whether or not our visitor gets to see a detailed error page or not. And if you have a particular status code, say 404, and then you want to specify your custom error page, then you can specify that. Okay. Next is debugging routines. Now, I'm not sure whether you still remember, but towards the end of our chapter last week, we have the debugging tips. Never do this. Leave debug set to true in the web.config. Okay, never leave it as true. Let's read further what we have here in chapter 10. For the debugging, it should be turned on during time of compilation. So that's why debug is set to true, so that we can provide output to our page. Then we will see what's happening, what's the problem. Okay, describe the problems that were found during the compilation. But then, most important, we have seen this last week, debugging tips here, turn off. We must turn it off, set it to false to ensure solid operation or deployment of your website. So turn off prior to deployment. So you need to change this. Okay, debug set to true, change it to false prior to deployment. Now, this is the general setting. Under configuration, the system.web, you can see here. Let's look at this one by one. Okay, this is why we set it to false or true, because this is to refer to some mobile devices that require fully qualified URLs. Okay, and then this one, if you want to enable or disable your ASP.NET application. And execution timeout is the amount of time in seconds which our resource can execute. And as for max request length, this is the file size upload. Okay, 4096, which is in KB, kilobyte. Now, a reminder, okay, a reminder for you all. Always back up the config files before modifying them. Personally, how do I do my backup? Especially when we did our membership enroll management, right? Okay, for our chapter 5, where we allow our users, correct, all users or anonymous users. So I did a simple, copy the config in another notepad, okay, so I can like still have my original config lah. Okay, so you all need to remember this. And then we have seen the warning just now. Do not change anything in the machine.config because these changes will affect all the web application on your computer. Only do so if you know what you're doing. Okay. Now, finally, the last part of our chapter is on performance optimization. In fact, we have covered this in chapter 6, where from chapter 6, we have learned that there are what we call as to retain information. Okay, chapter 6 on state management. To retain information, we can use cookie, we can use query string. This is on the client side. And then on the server side, we have session variable, application variable, and what we see here is cache. Cache is available in both sides, the client side and server side. Just to recap, caching is a process of storing frequently used data on the server to fulfill subsequent requests. Therefore, we also see that when we perform cache, it allows the response to be served faster. Okay, let's see. What does it mean? It means that for output cache, we save our post-rendered, means already been rendered earlier on or before that. So it would not have to be regenerated again the next time it is requested. So that's why here it says allowing the response to be served faster. But if it's not practical for us to cache the entire page, then we can use fragment cache. Output cache is also known as page output caching. Fragment cache is partial page caching, where we just cache some portion of the page. The one that we have covered in chapter 8 on user control. Remember that for a user control, hang on, I think I want to show you all this. One more minute, I can finish this. Give me a few more minutes, yeah. Chapter 8, right? Chapter 8. Or the advantages. Okay, this one. This is our advantages of using the user control. In case you forgot, we can add the user control and add it into our web form, right? Now the advantage, look at the third one, improve performance. Okay, improve performance where it enable fragment caching. Now let's get back to our slide just now. So it is worthwhile to create user controls that do not change for a defined time period, because we might have a particular advertisement for this particular user who log in as say gender is female, right? So we do not cache the entire page, just the user control. Now, this is the end of our slide, but I add in this screenshot which is from our chapter 6, since we're talking about configuration. So I want to show you all the syntax, okay, for this output caching, where we can set duration. So duration is a number of seconds where the page is stored in the cache. Okay, so I think this one is suitable to be added into our chapter 8. Now, so with this, we're done with our chapter 10. Next week will be our final chapter, which is on deploying ASP.NET application. Right, so the time is already 11:02 minutes. Okay, so I believe I can end the meet already. And I want to meet those students who haven't submitted the practical exercises yet. Okay, you can always go to you go to do and then see what are the things that you are yet to do. All right, I'm sure. Okay, I have 4 students here. Oh my goodness, my mouse. 1 student here. My mouse. 2 students here. 3 students here. Another 3 here. 1 here. Okay, please check if you have hutang lab exercise submission, hutang lab exercise. Please step back. The rest of you all, you can leave the meet. Okay, so I'll see you all tomorrow for practical.